Hi, as you can see, I recently released the first episode for my series, News to Me, hence the play on the words for the title of this side series, where I talk about the episodes because nobody will interview me, so I have to do it myself. Why am I talking about my own series, you ask? Because I'm a Swiftie, and if there's one thing Taylor Swift taught me, it's Easter eggs. So this video will have 3 segments, one to talk about how I created the series, one to talk about designing the characters, and one for Easter eggs. So let's talk about how I came up with the idea for News to Me. I was actually just planning to make an animated music video, as you can tell from the note on screen. And a while back I had drawn this character I really liked. I knew I wanted to make her into an animation someday, and decided this song looked perfect for her. So, to give her some company, I sketched up Kai in black and white and decided I really like this character. Then I sketched in Venus, and since I needed a backstory to fit them into the song, I asked my good and trusted friend Luca. We talked about what their jobs could be. Originally, Venus was supposed to be some powerful CEO. Oh, look how the tables have turned. Now she's broke. Sorry, Venus. I knew I wanted her to be skilled in combat. The story could have ended up way more cynical than it is now, because at some point I was thinking, like, they should be able to point a weapon at each other for laughs, but ultimately settled on something different because skilled in combat and some powerful CEO is not very specific. Like, what are you the CEO of exactly? Danger? Problems? Also, Kai probably would have been a wuss in that situation because he's just not built for the life of danger. He always felt like a very organized, I'm not dealing with your drama kind of person. He's here for the facts and listens to the actual evidence. Boring. I mean, organized. It was really funny how all this came to be because I was just supposed to make characters and make one video, but then I got emotionally attached and now I have like 20 scripts for them and counting. Because that discussion ended up being too unspecific, I started brainstorming on my own and came up with these ideas on screen right now. I'm thinking Kai owns some sort of agency. Honestly, I keep going back to like owning an art museum / art agency. It sounds weird. I don't even know if it's a thing, but I guess they recruit artists like oil paint artists or those really fine art people. And then you can see me freak out. What if he was a critic? He seems pretty stoic, so it could fit. That was another very unspecific idea because I wasn't exactly sure what he would critique and how that would lead him to the path I intend, aka getting money. But then it clicked. The light bulb over my head finally lit up. He could be a journalist or reporter. I'm very good at typing when I'm excited, as you can see. He owns a newspaper agency and they report on news specialized for crime. And there's a spoiler that I can't show you. A lot of criminal cases / reports are quite bland with the this is what we think happened. Look, we're journalists. Listen to us. I don't know if that's true. I was just giving myself something to go off of. Commonly not providing much commentary, I'd like to think he deep dives into the cases, showcasing even more possible motives. I read that wrong, but we're gonna ignore it. An interesting commentary that gets a conversation going besides, did you hear about that killer on the loose? Yeah, so scary. ... Something that would get people thinking, although I'm not sure what that would actually be. That's not important. As you can see by the sparkles emojis, I definitely thought that through and knew exactly what I was gonna do. No, I didn't, so I had to figure it out. It's funny that he was almost an art museum owner. I was thinking about what the series would have been like if it was and what the name would have been, and I immediately thought, News for Me. Maybe an alternate dimension that did happen, but not this one. In the notes you can see even more character details about him, like, I'd like to think Kai is rich enough to make others do all his work, but he enjoys being involved and knowing what's happening. You can also include manager / supervisor on his resume, wink. As for Venus, coming up with her backstory was way more dramatic. I practically started writing the entirety of News to Me in that rough idea note. If I showed you how I came up with her character, I'd spoil News to Me before episode 2 is even out. Naming the series was relatively easy. I actually named it on the first try, which is very rare for me because usually I'll message everybody I know and I'm like, what do I name this thing? I don't know what to name this thing. We'll go through like several websites full of suggestions, random word generators. It's just like, I don't like any of these suggestions, and I think I'm just going to come up with my own thing like 2 weeks later. But this one took me like 5 seconds. The title is sort of a double meaning, like, oh, that's news to me, and also news to me, as if it were a letter. So like, a letter to me. Naming Kai and Venus wasn't too hard either, unlike all of the other characters. For Kai's name, I went with the Japanese definition of ocean, but it can also mean shell, open, restoration, and recovery, depending on the kanji, I suppose. In Hawaiian, it has a similar meaning of sea. I like the meaning for ocean because I imagine his character to be similar to water in a way, mostly calm but a very powerful force if it needs to be. Really cheesy. Unfortunately, I can't be certain these definitions are accurate because I came up with the name before looking at the definition and have only searched through Google and some naming websites. And his last name is based off of a rock. Yes, a rock. Basically, I searched up crystal names and found this one. The name looked very sleek to me and I wanted something unique. It's also known as the Moonstone and is supposedly named after the Greek goddess of the moon, giving it yet another name, the Goddess Stone. The crystal itself is believed to symbolize and give peace, calmness, mental clarity, and well-being. So basically, he's Ocean Moonstone, but if you really want to make it simple, you could call him Ocean Rock. For Venus, I think it's pretty obvious she's based off the planet, well, her name is. But it can also relate back to the Roman goddess of love and beauty, which can relate back to the Greek goddess Aphrodite, according to Google. And her last name, well, I actually saw it in a game like a long time ago. I don't remember what game it was from anymore, but I remember it was a character's first name. I think I liked it, so I took inspiration from it. Celestine means a heavenly being or heavenly of the sky. And I totally didn't Google that months after naming her that without even knowing what it meant. Honestly, I never expected to actually make this into a series. It was kind of just an idea that existed in my head. But then I made a script for episode 1, and then it was history, and I animated like 16 minutes of content, and my laptop hates me. Here's some concept sketches and mock-ups. When it came to designing the characters, it was a kind of don't think, just draw situation. My goal with Kai was to make him like the characters I like, because I watch too many K-dramas. And Venus's design already existed, I just made it more purple and tweaked some things to be more functional. When I think of a character, I can already kind of see their design based off their personality. Which reminds me, I also redid Kai and Venus's animation models because I thought they looked a bit wonky. There's a lot of improvements to be made from episode 1. I already think episode 2 is a big improvement, but as the series goes on, it will improve further. Although that's not really ideal for consistency, what can you do when it's made by one person? Speaking of which, let's talk about why I did this myself. Number 1, I'm stubborn. Number 2, I like making myself suffer, I guess. Number 3, I can't pay people to do it for me. It was also just for that sense of accomplishment, which is probably really weird and says something about some sort of underlying issues, but we're not going to talk about that. I'm giving all I've got for this project, and I've even ended up making some of the music and sound effects for it, which I'm titling Rain in the Room. You hear it in episode 1, and I think there might be another song in episode 2. We'll see. And as for the other 2 short songs for my teaser, I haven't decided on a name yet. I plan to make at least one more song for this, but a song in general for my own personal reasons too. Okay, now it's Easter egg time. Time to show you every Easter egg in episode 1. The first batch of Easter eggs is the fake YouTube interface. It has tons of Easter eggs, like the number 7 reoccurring everywhere because I think 7's my lucky number. Also, the logo on Kai's belt is a fancy D for my name, of course, but let's just say it's some kind of designer brand there. And the video on the sidebar has videos from me. Fake ones, of course, because when am I gonna get 7,000 views that easily? Also, Venus's profile picture on the top right to show that she's watching it. I imagine she watches this interview after they meet and stuff. Next is the intro. Obviously, in the intro you can't actually see this, but on each piece of paper it has things like the series name, significant dates, and various other details, plus spoilers I can't show you. Also, this is obvious, but Venus's high heel is in the intro. This is more of a fun fact than anything, but the silhouettes from this part of the intro are actually from this drawing, which is the first drawing I did of Kai and Venus. Onto Kai's journal entry. As you can see, the entry starts on September 7th, 7:30 a.m., which is my birthday. When I say I put the number 7 everywhere, I meant it. The background where Kai and Venus meet for the first time is actually based off of a real place I went to, the Empire Hotel in Brunei. I remember thinking that it was perfect that we got to go there because I still needed to draw the lobby, and then I was just like, I'm gonna take a few pictures, maybe see what I can do. It's a very pretty place. Also, in the background, if you look closely, you'll see a pot of flowers. Those flowers being daffodils, which symbolize first meeting or new beginnings. Unfortunately, this detail can't be seen that well in the episode because I had to blur the background to make the character stand out more. But the golden circle decoration on the door has a letter D on it for my name, of course, because I put myself everywhere. It's also incorporated into the design of the door handle. This one's really obvious, but since I collaborate often with a channel called Cafe Dene Studio, I included them as the cafe Kai and Venus go to. I also just didn't want to come up with another name for it, so... But seriously, you have no idea how hard naming stuff is. It took me weeks to name the city and the country just so I could mention it one time. The background in the cafe is once again based on the hotel in Brunei. On the documents Kai gives to Venus to sign, you can see the Selenite News logo and also Venus's signature. The notebook Venus uses is based off of my actual sketchbook. I just use IBS Paint's line art extraction filter because I wanted to be as efficient as possible, and I was also a little bit tired. As you can see, I used that tool for the cafe background as well. To save time, I use methods like these when possible, but for things like the Emerald's home lobby, I had to draw over my image to get it done. Also, another obvious one, but Venus has to cross out Kyle S because she forgot his name. And the outro on the corner of the notebook, you can see my birthday once again, and then client, Venus Celestine. And if you think we're done, you're sorely mistaken. We still have the teaser to talk about. In Venus's teaser, we can see that the rose sinks into the water, which then turns it red, as a way to symbolize impurities. She also writes her first name, but the font is used for her last name, whereas Kai's teaser writes both his first and last name. I did this because I believe she has a resentment to her last name because it's attached to a lot of negativity for her. Totally not, because it was harder to make her last name written as well. What are you talking about? You'll find out more about that later. I haven't really put too many Easter eggs in Kai's teaser because I didn't think about it. Also, in the teaser I made for TikTok, you can see Kai's watch in the beginning, and there's a lot of text on the newspaper. Like, for example, a new original animated series made by an independent creator is set to release on January 2nd of 2023. Where is it going to be released, you ask? On the YouTube channel known as Princess Denise. The creator chose an ambitious feat with this series. Find out more on page 7, again, my lucky number. Who exactly is Venus Celestine and why is her case so important? Find out more on page 4. Is 4 an Easter egg? You'll see. The CEO of Selenite News Station, Kai Selenite, has finally done an interview after years of owning the station. More on page 5. That refers to the little recording we see at the beginning of episode 1. That's kind of his interview. Neri Michelle stomps critics with new movie Banknotes. Fans are left speechless. More on page 10. I'm not going to elaborate on that last one because I'm not going to spoil stuff. Anyways, in this we can also see silhouettes of the characters, the Selenite News logo, and the News to Me logo, of course. Thank you for listening to me gush about my OCs that I will not shut up about, and if you watched the episode, thank you. It means the world to me, and just know you're helping some of my dreams come true, even with just a little support. I hope you enjoy what's to come, and I hope you're just excited as I am. Happy New Year, by the way. Bye!